and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
It's time for the Sports Blitz, the only live-streamed local sports show in Arkansas, with all the latest on the sports stories that matter to you. Live from the Lions Den Golf Club studio, here are your hosts, Mark Freeman and Weldon Braxton.
Welcome into a Monday on the Sports Blitz. Mark Freeman, Weldon Braxton, Maddie Lassiter inside the studio. This is the last time, this is the last week that we're going to have this crew intact. Feeling like shedding some tears of anguish and distress and joy at the same time. Weldon's starting his last week before he goes up to Minnesota.
Yeah, northern Minnesota too. So
He's going to southern Canada.
Basically southern Canada, yeah. So sprinkle a little extra cold on there. Yeah, I've been comparing some of the weather patterns, from here to there, just to get an idea for the temperature. It's been consistently anywhere from 25 to about 32 degrees cooler than it has been here. Whew. In fact, they haven't broken 80 degrees in weeks, to 80 degrees. It's the middle of July, so that's just an indicator as far as what to expect later on this year. So,
well, we'll have some Great Lakes football recaps as well, and gives us a holler and tells us about what's going on with his football team up there. We're going to make the most of this week. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about, and we have felt the crunch as things slowed down a little bit. You got camps slowing down. There is one at Arkansas Tech this week, but there hasn't. We haven't felt this summer like we haven't had anything to talk about for the most part, which has been the case in the past. But now we're starting to feel a little bit, and here we are looking at some NFL stuff. I know if you guys are anything like me, you're looking forward to next Sunday. Is the first preseason football game, the Dallas Cowboys and the Miami Dolphins in the Hall of Fame game, and training camps are open, and there are teams getting ready for their NFL seasons. We're going to break down today, as part of our Honda of Russellville poll question, the top 10 teams. The NFL never had a poll growing up. I always wondered why they didn't have a top 10 poll.
Yeah.
Because it didn't matter. They were going by standings to the playoffs, and then they would play it off. I never understood why college football had rankings. I heard about rankings in every level of sports, and then the NFL doesn't have one. We're ranking our top 10 NFL teams today. Looking forward to that.
I'm really looking forward to this, Mark, because our list, we've done quarterbacks, running backs, receivers. They've had a fair amount of diversity, I would say. I think when you look at teams, it just blows it all out the water because, when you're looking at players, there's only so many dimensions you can look at with a player. But when you look at teams, there may be a team that you absolutely love as being a playoff caliber team that I think sucks, and there may be a team that I think is just going to set the world on fire. You have no respect for whatsoever because there's so many things: offense, defense, special teams, more specifically quarterback play, offensive line, defensive line. So I'm really looking forward to unveiling our list because it's really going to tell a lot about us as far as how we feel about things.
And there are a lot of injuries that have happened in the last couple weeks, and we'll talk about how those injuries impact these teams and how they affect where we've ranked a lot of these teams. This is a perfect reason. I was out at the Peach Festival taking some pictures on Saturday and got a message about Jeremy Macklin from one of my friends who's an Eagles fan. Right. And that's exactly why we do fantasy football drafts on the very last week, after all the preseason games are played. That way you don't draft somebody and then they get hurt and then there goes your team. Peyton Manning, the fact that he didn't play all the 2011 season, somebody drafted him in the first round, knowing he was hurt but expecting that he was going to come back and play. Drafted him in the first or second round, and their team was toast from there.
I don't understand, and I think you look at the site, ESPN, Yahoo, a lot of the NFL.com, they have their drafts open. I don't understand conducting a draft in July. Unlike you, I like to wait as long as possible. Even if you wait, into the little more in the middle of August or so, or later on in August, that's fine. But people are just killing. There's like thousands of fantasy leagues that have already drafted. You don't know what in the world is going to happen. You don't know who's going to be starting on a quarter of the teams in different positions. You don't know who's going to get hurt. There is nothing logically right about you having a fantasy draft in the first round. I'm sorry if you've had one. You can do your mock drafts, Mark. I know we've done a lot of mock drafts. I have. I know you have too. And that's fine to kind of stay prepped and stay clean with it. But, hey, if I do a mock draft and I draft, let's say, Dennis Pitta, well, guess what? I'm not drafting him anymore because why? We now know he's out for the season. quit doing drafts in July is the point of my story.
Seriously. We'll look at that. We'll look at a little bit of hog talk. Arkansas got a big commitment in more ways than one this weekend. They picked up a big one from he's from
JUCO,
England, but he's from JUCO. And the biggest part of this story is the fact that he was a huge recruit that Alabama wanted, that Ohio State wanted. He was down to Arkansas. He was originally committed to UCLA, was back down to, after he reopened his commitment, to Arkansas. And Ohio State chose Arkansas over Ohio State. He's a 4-star, and it's a big deal. It's a big deal. We'll talk about it here in a little bit.
We will. And, you look at this particular prospect, and look, I know how fans think. I may not always agree or like the way fans think, but we can talk about developing players all we want. Well, his list included Baylor and SMU and Rice, but we're going to develop them. Fans don't like to hear that. Let's be honest if you're at home. You like to see that Arkansas was chosen over Oklahoma and Texas and Ohio State and schools of that nature. So I think if you're a fan, it kind of gave you an extra bump of excitement because we all look at that list. Even though some of these players may be busts, some of them may overachieve, we like looking at that list, and when we see good schools that Arkansas was chosen over, we like it.
Yeah, we definitely like that. We prefer it to, like you said, we stole them from Louisiana Lafayette. Congratulations. Did see here coming across the Twitter wire that a big defensive tackle, 4-star defensive tackle from the JUCO ranks, Abu Lamin or Lamin, I don't know however you pronounce it, was down to Arkansas and South Carolina. It's going to South Carolina. So there's a big one on the offensive line that you get. There's one on the defensive line that you miss, although Arkansas needs a lot more help on the offensive line than they do the defensive line.
Yeah, it's the recruiting battles. I mean, look, percentage-wise, you're never going to be successful as far as a majority of the time. I mean, look, Nick Saban loses recruiting battles to Jimbo Fisher, but look where they're at career-wise. I mean, it happens. Even the best recruits, like baseball, you're only successful 3 out of 10 times you consider a really good player. Recruiting's kind of the same way. You're going to lose out on more kids than you get even if you're Nick Saban, but still you get enough of them to be elite.
You got Bijan Jackson from Texarkana that's probably coming in. Yes. Well, he's committed to play for Arkansas. And then you've got Josh Frazier from Springdale, Harbor, isn't he?
Harbor, I believe.
He's a 4-star, really, really highly sought after defensive lineman. So I guess Arkansas, if they can get both of those guys, they've got 2 of the top, 20 defensive linemen in the country on their team from Arkansas, and they've held up that fence that we've been talking about, and they've done all right recruiting.
And it's really important. Look, it's an arms race, and look, you want quarterbacks, but there's no need for you to have 7, 8 quarterbacks on the roster and 15 wide receivers. But a position where
what are
you
talking
need
about, Bobby?
Yeah, you have Bobby 11 receivers in one class one time. But you look at what you really need: offensive linemen and defensive linemen. Those are the 2 positions where you cannot have enough. That is where you just collect, because some guys are going to pan out. You need defensive tackle-wise, you always need 2 starters in depth. You always need 5 offensive linemen across the board in depth. So I like when you're building depth in the trenches.
It's definitely a big deal, and it's where Brett Bielema likes to begin, and it's really the smart thing to do as far as football at all levels, NFL on down. They build from the lines out, and I know you love to hear that. So.
That's right. And I mean, when you're hiring your coaches, you want to make sure you've got a top-notch offensive line coach.
Yes, you do.
We know certain schools have done that, so there you go.
That's true. Let's look real quickly at our Peters Family Living local sports look. I'm going to take myself over to Arkansas Tech University later on to check out their final camp of the summer for the Wonder Boys. I don't know if it's a skills camp or a team camp. I didn't even know it was even happening until I saw Coach Doug Crossett tweet about it. And I'm going to go over there and check it out, maybe take some pictures and see what's going on. Would be interested to find out what's going on there. If you've got any kind of summer camp or any kind of sports action going on in your school or with somebody that you know, email Mark at rivervalleyleader.com. You can give us a call today between 11 and noon to get on the show at 968-NEWS. That's 968-6397, or you can call us any other time just to let us know about what's going on. But our Peters Family Living local sports look, I talked to Coach Lance Fetters, the offensive line coach from Clarksville High School,
there you go.
Yesterday, and he said that they're at Ozark for a football camp. He's going to send me some pictures so you can check out rivervalleyleader.com for those. And they're trying to get better out there at Ozark. And, you know, I don't know if you guys did this growing up, but we never really could go to play to Ozark because there would be a fight. I mean, literally every time we went there, somebody'd mouth off, and you know there would be just two guys going at it. They would go at it in games. I remember games when I was a junior high where I'd go watch the high school play, and there would be scraps in the middle of the game. So we couldn't do it, but they're able to go play Ozark and scrimmage them in football right now. I know that Ozark holds the summer league for basketball as well. Pottsville is there right now, so these teams getting a lot of work in this summer, both basketball and football, a valuable work against another team. It's something better than just, you know, beating up on people in the same jersey. You get to go take out your frustrations on somebody else.
And that's what it's been for many years, Mark, including when I came through. You know, this was the unheard of. The most that we did when I was in high school was right before the season, you would have a jamboree, maybe against a couple of local schools, maybe, but that's as most as you would get. Certainly none of this summer stuff, none of this shoulder pads and shorts games or whatever. I don't know what that's about. But we didn't have any of that stuff, and it's good because you know, what you do as far as your system is what you do. And so when you play against the same thing every day, I mean, if you're an offense, you're not going to play against an odd front, an even front, an over front, under front. You're going to play against the same thing pretty much every day. But other schools do different things that you're going to have to be prepared for. So I think from a football standpoint, of course, basketball the same way. It's good to get those looks early as opposed to, oh, no, we've been playing against a 4-3 in practice. Our first opponent runs a 3-4. Oh, no, how do we block this? You kind of have a little bit more exposure.
Definitely good to get the different looks, and not just, like you said, the same people over and over and over. I know how to attack him.
Yeah.
I've got to do something different. I got to work on me. So that's a big deal. Seeing a lot of improvement from some of these guys in football and in basketball. Heard a lot of good things from the Pottsville side about guys like Michael Perry. This week, Michael Perry's not going to be with the football or basketball teams either at I don't know, where's the football team? I don't remember if they're scrimmaging somebody. I know the basketball team is traveling tomorrow to Ozark for the team camp. Today's junior high. But Michael Perry will not be there because he's in North Carolina at Point Guard University. He's going to a team or an individual skills camp for point guards only. That speaks to me a lot about what Michael Perry is and the work that he's putting into this. He's wanting to be the real deal. He's going to North Carolina to get coached up at Point Guard U.
Oh, well, I mean, you look at where he might go, I think that's a strong, I don't want to say indicator, but that's a strong punch towards one way more so than the other.
Yeah, I hadn't seen him at any defensive back universities recently.
I hadn't seen him at any LSU D-back camps, any Nick Saban camps. But, you know, you go to North Carolina, obviously, it speaks for itself as far as a tradition, not just the university, but that whole state. I mean, it's just you're in sort of a basketball mecca when you're in that part of it. Michael Perry showing that he's one of the better point guards, really one of the better players in the state of Arkansas, and now showing himself outside of that area. You know you're going to get some top-notch coaching, some top-notch exposure. So I'm really happy for him.
Yeah, he's going to put the work in. He's going to be very good this year. Heard a lot of good things about what Michael Perry's been able to do this summer. It seems like everywhere they go, he's just been unstoppable for the Pottsville Apaches in basketball, and he's going to do good things in football too. He's working hard on both sides there. But anyway, we'll have some photos. If you've got any information on your school, whether you're at Dardanelle or Dover or Atkins or anywhere else, if you've got information on your school you want us to know about, email mark@rivervalleyleader.com. We'd love to pass that information along in our Peters Family Living Local Sports Look. Again, Arkansas Tech hosting a camp today. I know they had been on Monday nights doing their skills camp on at the whole building at 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock, $10 every Monday night, and it's well worth it to go get coached up by some of the best coaches in the area. Coach Carlskit and those guys are going to get you in position to play well, and all age groups are accounted for, and I hope that they're still doing that, even though they've got this camp going on. If they aren't because of all day working on this, I can see why they wouldn't. But.
Well, I mean, if you haven't taken advantage of this opportunity and you're somebody who's in position to do so, I don't know what's wrong with you. I mean, you already laid it out, Mark, the opportunity to have coaching, and I mean, this isn't just what's that New Jersey school that didn't win a game for 3 or 4 years, something like that in a row? There's some school up there a few years ago.
A basketball team?
It was a basketball team.
I don't even remember.
Like 0-30 something. The point is, that's not who this is. We're talking about multiple conference champions here, multiple NCAA tournament appearances. As far as Coach Carlson and company, you need to take advantage of it, Mark. So I'm with you 100%.
Definitely. We're going to hit a break. Anyway, go call out Coach Doug Carlskin on Twitter, ask him what's going on with their team camp or if they're having the skills this evening. I've got a text into him. He hadn't answered back yet, so I don't know if they're doing the skills camp tonight. But those that are interested, you can call Arkansas Tech University, ask for Coach Carlskin, and he'll be able to help you out and let you know if they're going to be doing that tonight. We've got plenty of stuff today. We're going to get to our NFL top 10 teams, and Brett Bielema at it on Twitter again.
Over 69 years of treating you like family, Peters Family Living's main goal is customer service. That is their promise to their customers. They offer in-house financing on furniture and appliances and a 30-day money-back guarantee. For a friendly, no-pressure atmosphere, visit Peters Family Living today at 201 North Arkansas Avenue, Russellville. Online at petersfamilyliving.com or call 479-968-2929. Set your sights on savings right now at Honda of Russellville. We're offering our best deals of the year on remaining 2012 Honda ATVs, plus special introductory offers on select new 2013 Honda ATVs, all with zero down and easy monthly payments with approved credit. Be sure to check out the all-new Honda Foreman 4x4, now stronger, smarter, and harder working. How about a side-by-side? Well, Honda's got you covered with the Big Red. Honda's Big Red offers a proven Honda engine, automotive-style Honda automatic transmission with no belts to slip or break. Come in for a test ride today at Arkansas's legendary Honda dealer, Honda of Russellville.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? Not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
While we're speaking, as Weldon said, about high school athletes and our Peters Family Living local sports look, it's a perfect transition to a 20-year-old who's acting like a junior high kid. Johnny Manziel, welcome back into the Sports Blitz. Mark Freeman, Weldon Braxton, Maddie Lassiter. Johnny Manziel, they call him Johnny Football. I almost refuse to call him that now. I'll call him Johnny Drama from here on. He's in it again. All that stuff about the Manning passing camp and how he got booted or he got sick or he said, I don't feel like being here anymore, whatever actually happened. Then SEC Media Days became the days of Johnny's life and all these different things. And now Johnny Manziel this weekend is from Texas A&M, okay? He goes to Austin, Texas, home of Texas Longhorns,
that's right,
the biggest rival to Texas A&M, and wants to go to a frat party because nothing could go wrong there.
No. Drinking water and everything.
Yeah, of course. Well, the Texas, obviously, the Longhorn fans, those Shorthorn fans themselves just decided they didn't want anything to do with old Johnny Manziel, and it didn't take long before they booted him out of the party. Heard a lot of coarse language and a couple of adult beverages that may or may not have been thrown at him by people who were or were not adults. But Johnny Manziel was not welcome at this University of Texas fraternity party, and should we expect anything less at this point?
I've been thinking about what I wanted to say as far as addressing this, and I want to be clear first and foremost. I understand that most of these activities, Johnny Manziel has not broken the law, although underage drinking, if you can nail him down on that, that is definitely illegal. But, Mark, what I'm hearing is, well, he's doing these things that are not becoming of a leader and a quarterback, but he's not breaking the law extensively or really to any degree that we know of. So what's really the problem? The issue is, okay, fine, everything you're doing is pretty much above board as far as the law, but we're talking about your stock. We're talking about the National Football League. We're talking about how you're going to be able to lead a football team. All that stuff has nothing to do with the law. You can be the most crooked, awful leader in the world, and you can still be within the frame of the law.
Yeah.
So that's not really the point here. The point here is the NFL perspective. Do you want this guy possibly being the leader of your franchise? Do you even want him to be the leader of your college football team right now? Because I'm looking around at who the elite quarterbacks now in the NFL, really any successful NFL quarterback. I'm looking at some of the more successful college quarterbacks in recent years, and I'm not seeing this type of behavior. And so that's kind of a red flag for me. So with Johnny Manziel, I get that you're not necessarily, robbing places and breaking the law, but I still need some qualities from a leader that I'm not seeing from you, even though you're a good player. Still some questions about you in the pocket as far as a passer, but you're a good player. I still have these leadership issues.
To me, it's getting to the point to where is it worth having the drama that surrounds Johnny Drama on your team? He's costing himself a lot of money, in my opinion. Right now, what he's doing is costing himself a whole lot of money because as good as he is, he's a Heisman Trophy winner. He's just an incredible all-around athlete, but what he's doing right now is he's putting himself out there, and now everything about him is going to be exposed from here on. Is he good enough, and who's going to want him at that point? Looking at forward to next year, let's say he enters the draft. Right now, he's already probably a early round guy, but he's not like a top 10 guy talent-wise. No real I don't think anybody's going to go after him really, really early on in the draft. So who's going to want to deal with the drama? Well, the only teams that are going to want to deal with the drama that it seems like he's going to bring are really bad teams. So if you're not going to get drafted in the first couple picks, first 10 picks by one of these really bad teams, you're not going to get drafted till at best the second round because no good team is going to have to want to deal with that junk. You see what it did to the Jets dealing with all this drama and all this junk throughout the last couple of years. And even to an extent, the Patriots taking some risks on people, and here they are where they are. Nobody's going to want to deal with Johnny Manziel. I feel like he's costing himself a lot of money because unless he comes out this year and just completely sets the world on fire again and gets rid of all the doubts about him as a player, he's really. But the biggest thought to me is what's he thinking?
The kicker is he just does not care. It's not like he's remorseful, saying I need to turn it around, clean things up. Johnny Manziel has told you in so many words, I'm a 20-year-old college kid. I'm going to keep doing things and living my life, basically telling you and I he does not care.
I just wonder what he thought was going to happen. I'm the face of Texas A&M. If there's one person, like I said before the show, on the face of the planet that is the personification of Texas A&M University right now, it's Johnny Manziel. And you go to a frat party at Texas, at your biggest rival for 100 years, and you think that it's just all going to be all right and you're going to walk in? Really? I mean, what do you think was going to happen? He's a moron.
Looking for it.
It's either A, he's looking for a fight, which 500 on one. I don't care how bad you think you are. But then, I mean, it's just he doesn't, like you said, he doesn't care about the perception. I'm a 20-year-old kid. I'm going to do me. I'm going to have fun and all this junk. At the end of the day, he's cost himself a lot of money in my opinion.
He's going to catch up with him because he's going to cross the wrong dude and that arm, shoulder, something.
Seriously, I mean, honestly, you're right. And that's an injury thing. That's not us threatening him, but it's just it's going to happen. He's going to mess with the wrong guy, and somebody's going to be like, all right, Johnny Football, I'm going to take your arm off and beat you with it. So we'll see what happens to Johnny Football in his NFL career. Speaking of the NFL, we wanted to look today at our Honda of Russellville poll question. Let's rank the top 10 NFL teams. We asked Brad Caldwell to call in. Brad, what's going on?
Oh, man, not much. Glad to be back on.
Yeah, you like this Johnny Football drama?
Listen, I've been going back and watching some football because, number one, I just need a fix. It's like a drug addict, man. When football season comes, I start getting the itch, man. I've been watching the top 5 college football games from last year. I'm going to tell you one thing that sticks out to me about Texas A&M and Johnny Manziel. Johnny Manziel I won't say he was made by that offensive line in front of him because he did make some plays, but that offensive line made a huge difference for him last year, and they're not going to have the same guys up front as they had. I really look for Texas A&M to take a hit, not only because of the offensive line, but because of Johnny Manziel's partying ways and all of that. I think that's going to end up costing them. I just don't feel like he's focused like he needs to be, and I think in the end, Texas A&M is going to be one of those teams that really falls down the ladder a little bit this year. I don't expect them to be a national championship contender. In fact, I think, call me crazy, we spoke about this before, so this is not the first time I've said it. Again, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I do think Arkansas has a chance against them in Fayetteville.
Well, we'll have to see about that.
Out there.
I still don't know. After watching him run circles around Arkansas last year and just laughing at him on the way, we'll have to see that to believe it. But Johnny is costing himself, in my opinion, a whole lot of money, and it's just he proves more and more every day, Weldon, that he just doesn't get it.
He doesn't get it, Mark, and like we said before we had Brad on, he simply just does not care. He says, I'm going to be 20. I'm going to keep doing things. I was doing these things before I got famous. It's not my fault that you gave me the Heisman Trophy. I'm just going to continue to do what I do. That's his mentality. And, Brad, I'm looking at the road you were going down as far as their struggles, and I agree with you. Matthews is back, but Joko is gone. They've had some shakeups on that offensive line. My only issue is, unfortunately, I think, and this sounds like I'm rooting against Johnny Manziel, I think he's going to get away with it because of the schedule. Because, yes, they play in the SEC West, but you've got Vanderbilt and you've got Missouri as your cross opponents. Ole Miss, Brad, I don't know about you. I'm not sold on them. I think A&M will be a worse team, but I think they may get away with it and still win 9 or 10 games because of the schedule. What do you think?
I think you're probably right about that, but we're talking about a team that's coming into the season with expectations of a national championship.
That's true.
If they beat Alabama on September 14th, which they will not do, just throwing that out there, it will not happen. If they go ahead and do that and prove me wrong, then they're going to be hyped like no other. But this is the way I look at it with them. I look at them really building towards September 14th. I think those first 2 games they're going to look really good in. And then I think the Alabama game is going to let the wind out of the sails. But even at that, you're right. The schedule sets up weak. But let's say this. I'm with you on the Ole Miss bandwagon. I'm not really sold on it because Hugh Freeze himself gets up there in SEC Media Days and basically tries to temper expectations because he knows they don't have a lot of depth. Now, if they stay healthy like they did last year, they could be an 8-9 win team, but if they don't have the same luck that they had last year, then they are probably going to fall back just a little bit because of the depth concerns and the depth issues that they have. But Ole Miss should have beaten Texas A&M last year, and so I think that that'll be a good game. And you got to look at Texas A&M and what they did last year. They escaped with a few games last year that they shouldn't have escaped with. Louisiana Tech, they beat them 59-57 last year. Ole Miss was kind of the same way. I think even Vanderbilt they had a pretty tough game with, and I may be wrong about that, and I'll have to go back and check that. And it seems like they played Vanderbilt played them pretty tough last year if they played them at all. I just seem to recall that. But anyway, they escaped with some games that they should not have escaped with. And I just look for them to fall back a little bit. But, yes, the schedule does set up quite nicely, and it may not be nearly as disastrous as it could be because of it.
Hey, there's one team that the schedule doesn't set up real great for us, University of Arkansas. But, hey, we're looking forward to talking some football. College football season's just about upon us, and we've tried to push it back and save it as long as we could. Now we're really going to hit it hard the next couple weeks. We're going to hit our early break, but when we come back, we're going to look at our top 10 NFL teams. We want your answer to the Honda of Russellville poll question. Go to facebook.com/sportsblitz and let us know. We're going to give you, I think Weldon and I have the same number 1 team. Be interested to see who Brad's got number 1 on his NFL top 10.
RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site, as well as police news and coverage from important meetings, along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out RiverValleyLeader.com.
Lions Den Golf Club is now offering a winter golf special to members and guests alike. Get your cart and greens fee covered for just $20. Take Highway 22 west to Bay Ridge or call 479-229-4162 for Lions Den Golf Club.
Over 69 years of treating you like family, Peters Family Living's main goal is customer service. That is their promise to their customers. They offer in-house financing on furniture and appliances and a 30-day money-back guarantee. For a friendly, no-pressure atmosphere, visit Peters Family Living today at 201 North Arkansas Avenue, Russellville. Online at petersfamilyliving.com or call 479-968-2929.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? Not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
Back here on the Sports Blitz, got a lot of stuff to cover. Not a whole heck of a lot of time to do it. We're going to look at the NFL's top 10 teams. I've always wondered why the NFL didn't rank when I was growing up, why they didn't rank their teams, just because I thought it'd be fun conversation and fodder, but apparently the NFL did just fine without me and my ideas, because now they're king, and they've made, good Lord, more than I ever would have been able to make with the NFL as far as money and popularity. But here we are, a couple months before the NFL season, training camps have begun, and we're just deciding, well, we're going to take things into our own hands, and we're going to rank these top 10 NFL teams ourselves. Going to be a little controversy, I'm sure. I'll just go ahead and start the controversy because at number 10, I've got the Dallas Cowboys. You think, what in the world are you talking about, Mark? The Dallas Cowboys? I feel like from what I've heard, Dez Bryant on the offensive side with the weapons that they've got, Tony Romo, if he can stop throwing interceptions, and DeMarco Murray can stay healthy. They've got the weapons on the offense. They've got, now they finally got a little bit of help in the secondary with the fact that Mo Claiborne coming into his second year, Brandon Carr at defensive back there on the other corner. They've got the pieces that they need. There's no excuses, Weldon, for Dallas. Saying that, I've left off the Saints, the Giants, the Bears, the Lions, the Vikings, and the Steelers, and I put the Cowboys at number 10.
I can't really get too mad at you. You look at Dallas, and everything's relative as far as what I'm about to say. Not a whole lot of chatter. There's still more chatter than what there needs to be, but it's been relatively quiet around Dallas as far as what we've seen in years past. I like that. Expectations aren't that high, just a solid nose-down type football team getting their work done. I think Dallas will surprise some people. I have the Pittsburgh Steelers at number 10. I think bringing in Le'Veon Bell, the rookie from Michigan State, improved offensive line will give them some type of running game. Big Ben in year 2 of Todd Haley's three-step quick passing game, he'll be healthier. That defense, and of course, they have character with Mike Tomlin and that organization. I've got the Steelers at number 10.
And Brad, your number 10 team?
Well, first of all, I like that Dallas pick. They're on my just missed category. I went with an NFC East foe, and I went with the Redskins at number 10. And, right now, until somebody shows that they can stop RG3, I think that he'll be a force to be reckoned with in the NFC East again. But I actually look for the NFC East to be the most competitive division in football. I think the Eagles will be improved. The Redskins will be right there. The Giants are going to be improved, who I have in my top 10. And the Cowboys will also be improved. So I think it'll be the best division in football this year, maybe save the NFC West.
Well, this is going to be fun because he's already got two teams I don't have in my top 10, so that's good.
Don't you love it?
That's good. Washington is another team. If it weren't for the injury to RG3, that I would, I would put them in serious consideration. And Philadelphia, like he was talking about the NFC East being so competitive. Now Jeremy Macklin's out for the year. That just opens things up even more. The Giants with no Umenyiora, a little bit of defensive turnover on a team that was up and down last year. Dallas always up and down. You have no idea what you're going to get with them from year to year. My number 9 team, you're going to call me crazy, but that's the defending Super Bowl champion Baltimore Ravens. No Ed Reed, no Ray Lewis. A lot of turnover on that defense. The offense is losing. They lost Anquan Bolden, did they not? To San Francisco. So they've got Dennis Pitta out for the year. They've still got Ray Rice. They've still got Joe Flacco, the big pay quarterback there, who led this team to the Super Bowl. I feel like they're basically only in my top 10 because of the fact that they just won the Super Bowl and they've got a lot of guys returning, but they've got too many guys missing to go any higher on my list.
Yeah. Ray retiring, Ed's gone, Paul Kruger. You can call me crazy because I don't have the Baltimore Ravens in my top 10. Joe Flacco's got to show me he can actually carry a team from start to finish and still make them a top team. My number 9 team is an NFC East team. I think they've changed their mental approach. I think they've got guys on that defensive line that are going to get back to playing well. They did lose O.C. Umenyior, and I'm talking about the New York Giants. Eli Manning, he's inconsistent. He had a great year in 2011, not so good last year. That means this year he's probably going to have a good year. I have questions about David Wilson, but I like Andre Brown in concert with him. I think the New York Giants, with Akeem Nicks relatively healthy compared to last year, Victor Cruz, I think the Giants are number 9.
Brad?
I like the Colts at number 9. Right now, still kind of a prove-it-to-me type of deal. I do think that the Colts can be a team that can jump up this top 10 list. But they actually spent more free agent money than anybody in the NFL, except for one team, and I cannot remember who it was. No, it's the Dolphins. They spent more free agent money than everybody but the Dolphins this year, so I look for them to be improved. So they could, but at the same time, I'm going to temper my expectations at this point and say that the Colts will be in it, but they'll be at number 9 right now.
The Colts are my number 8 team. They were 2-14 2 years ago. Everybody knew they weren't a 2-14 team. Lots of injuries. No more Peyton Manning. What are we going to do here if we're the Indianapolis Colts? Well, we're going to cut bait with a lot of people. We're going to go for it. We're going to suck for luck. We're going to pick up Andrew Luck, and then we're going to go 11-5. I feel like they're, like Brad said, they're a team that can sneak up this list because very quickly I feel like they're going to turn things around. Although this year they're not going to come sneak up on anybody. Andrew Luck is the real deal, and I've got the Indianapolis Colts at number 8. I'm looking forward to watching Andrew Luck progress into one of the better players in the league. Wonder how much Reggie Wayne has left in him. 106 receptions for 1,300 yards last year. T.Y. Hilton's another guy you really like, but I've got the Indianapolis Colts at number 8.
Number 8, and Indianapolis Colts, certainly you can't argue with it. I do need to see a little bit more from them. My number 8 team realistically should be in the top 5, but they had a John L. Smith-like situation last year. But I'm going with the New Orleans Saints because I'm sorry, when they have Sean Payton, who to me is the second best coach in the NFL, they are an elite team. They're going to get back to being that turnover, blitz-happy type defense they were when they had Greg Williams and won the Super Bowl, although I don't think they're going to have any bounties this year, but we'll see about that. The New Orleans Saints, with Sean Payton back, Drew Brees, the whole crew back together, they will be back to being what they are. They're my number 8 team.
And Brad?
Got the Steelers in at number 8, and I like the Steelers for this reason. Under Mike Tomlin, the Steelers have had one off year and one great year, and this is their great year time. So I look for the Steelers to bounce back. I look for Roethlisberger to have a good season. I like the Steelers to come back, bounce back, and be in the mix.
I had the Steelers on my just out list, on my quote-unquote honorable mention list, because I do like Big Ben, and I had him higher in my top 10 than I thought a lot of people would have him. Number 7, I've got the New England Patriots. All these issues. Will Gronk play for the first month? They don't have Aaron Hernandez. They're trading in Danny Amendola for Wes Welker. The defense is going to be better, I assume, but the offense is going to have some ups and downs. I feel like they still have Tom Brady, so they still deserve to be on this list, but I've got them probably a little lower than a lot of people would have them on my list. I've got the New England Patriots at number 7.
What happened to Aaron Hernandez? Is he hurt or what?
Yeah, no, he's actually they're searching the pond behind his house in connection with some murders. So, yeah, he's not going to be making an appearance this year.
My number 7 team, to me, they're talented. They have an elite receiver. They have an elite running back. They have a solid statistical defense. I just don't think they have enough guts, and that's the Houston Texans. Again, I love their talent. Ed Reed should help as far as the guts and instincts, but I got to see this team show me something in crucial moments. That's why I have Houston further down at number 7, although I could have them higher based on their talent, Brad.
I do not have the New England Patriots in my top 10.
I love it.
I don't. Now, I could be very wrong about them, and they still have Tom Brady, which makes you think that they probably will end up being there. But I just have them out right now. I think they've lost a lot. They've had a lot of things happen to them as far as an organization goes, but they still have Tom Brady, and that's their saving grace right now. But I do not have them in my top 10. My number 7 team is the New York Giants. Again, talked about the NFC East as being a very competitive division. I look for the Giants to be, at least in my top 10 rating, the best team in the NFC East this year. I think that they will win it. Again, it's another kind of Steelers type of deal where the Giants have one off year and one good year, and it's time for their good year to come back. And, the Giants always seem to start out well and then kind of flutter down the stretch, except for the year that they won the Super Bowl. I really expect the Giants to be able to sustain it. I look for the Giants to push for 12 wins this year, and I look for them to be in the mix as well. And they're my number 17.
My number 6 team is a team that Weldon had at number 7. It's the Houston Texans. They've got all the talent in the world. They've got Arian Foster, who I think is one of the top 5 players, bar none, in the league. They've got Andre Johnson, who's probably on the tail end of his prime, but he still was, I think, the number 2 wide receiver on my list and one of the best big playmakers in the league. Got a defense with Wade Phillips that caused a lot of trouble last year, J.J. Watt, and those guys, they're getting Brian Cushing back. So they're going to have all the pieces, but like you said, Weldon, it's going to be up to guts whether they've got it to come up in the they were 12-4 last year. Can they come up in the playoffs when it matters and really show up and show out like the Baltimore Ravens did last year? You want to talk about guts? You can just show a picture of the Baltimore Ravens the last 2 Super Bowls they've won. Houston's going to have to grow some of that if they're going to win, and I've got them at number 6.
And that's what it takes for them. I mean, they seem like the team that'll win 12 or 13 games, then lose to a hot 8-8 team in the playoffs, and then be like, what happened? My number 6 team is a team that they're going to have to change the way they play football, but they still have one of the best quarterbacks in football. They still have a solid offensive line. That defense needs to get better because they're going to have to be relied upon. That's the New England Patriots. I expect a little bit more old school New England when they were first winning Super Bowls. A lot more West Coast offense type philosophies with Danny Amendola. I expect a running game. Remember when Corey Dillon was in place. Now you have Stephen Ridley and Shane Vereen. To me, it's about that defense. They cannot continue to be the weak link anymore. They have to get back. But you have Tom Brady. I've got the Patriots at 6.
Out of respect, I have the Ravens at number 6, and I respect John Harbaugh. Is one of the reasons that I've still got them in this top 10 because, to me, one of the best coaches in football. Even though he beat Jim, I still like Jim a little better than him. But I think John Harbaugh has proven that he is a very, very good NFL coach. And so I have the Baltimore Ravens at number 6.
We're going to leave our top 5s for after this break, but when we get back, we got some fireworks because a couple of our teams have already been taking, a couple of the teams that you guys might have expected me to pick or that I expected you to pick. And so we've got some probably some teams that will still be just in the same top 5 but in a different order. So it's going to be fun getting to the top 5 here in just a minute. And also we're going to look at Brett Bielema winning some recruiting wars, winning some Twitter wars. He's just having himself a good time up on the hill.
Over 69 years of treating you like family, Peters Family Living's main goal is customer service. That is their promise to their customers. They offer in-house financing on furniture and appliances and a 30-day money-back guarantee. For a friendly, no-pressure atmosphere, visit Peters Family Living today at 201 North Arkansas Avenue, Russellville, online at petersfamilyliving.com or call 479-968-2929. Set your sights on savings right now at Honda of Russellville. We're offering our best deals of the year on remaining 2012 Honda ATVs, plus special introductory offers on select new 2013 Honda ATVs, all with 0 down and easy monthly payments with approved credit. Be sure to check out the all-new Honda Foreman 4x4, now stronger, smarter, and harder working. How about a side-by-side? Well, Honda's got you covered with the Big Red. Honda's Big Red offers a proven Honda engine, automotive-style Honda automatic transmission with no belts to slip or break. Come in for a test ride today at Arkansas's legendary Honda dealer, Honda of Russellville.
Lions Den Golf Club is now offering a winter golf special to members and guests alike. Get your cart and greens feet covered for just $20. Take Highway 22 west to Bay Ridge or call 479-229-4162 for Lions Den Golf Club.
Coming back. Are we back? We are coming back. We're back on the Sports Blitz live. Can you tell? RiverValleyLeader.com studios. Mark Freeman, Weldon Braxton, Maddie Lassiter, and we're joined on the phone by the man, the myth, the legend, Brad Caldwell, looking at the top 10 NFL teams in our estimation this year. We've given you our top, our 10 through 6, and now it's time to get through our top 5. Brad and I apparently agree on number 5, but Weldon's got somebody else. I've got the Seattle Seahawks. They did get a win last year that they didn't necessarily earn on the replacement refs, but the Seattle Seahawks were a very pleasant surprise. Russell Wilson, finding out more about him and how great a leader he is, wouldn't surprise me at all to see them play very well again this year. Percy Harvin in the mix if he's able to play. Maddie makes fun of him because of his migraines, which I won't do because that's just wrong. But we'll see if he can add in him. He may have a torn hip or whatever it is, whatever's going on with him right now. But they've got some good weapons. They've got Marshawn Lynch. They've got beast mode. They've got a great defense. They've got a home field advantage. There's a lot of stuff to like about Seattle. I've got them at number 5.
You quit making my case for later on. You just laying it all out. My number 5 team, I think they have an elite quarterback. I think they have an elite coach. But when you strip those two things away, and if they got some weapons, the Green Bay Packers they're a football team I like, but they're a football team with a lot of issues that I worry about. Aaron Rodgers took a beating last year. That's got to get better. Eddie Lacy and Jonathan Franklin, the rookie running back, should help in that department. The defense has got to get better. They still need to get back to stopping the run, elite pass rush. I like the Green Bay Packers at number 5. I think with Aaron Rodgers getting hot, they can beat anybody in football. But from a week-to-week basis, I worry about them defensively, and I worry about that offensive line. But I got Green Bay at number 5.
And Brad?
Seahawks, basically everything you said. I think I might have put them up a little bit higher if I knew what was going on with Harvin, because I think he would have added a dimension to the offense that they didn't have. They were going to have one of the best defenses in football. They've got one of the better running backs in football right now as well. And to be honest with you, I think Russell Wilson has the potential to be one of the best quarterbacks in football. So I think they have all the ingredients. They're a little shy at wide receiver, in my opinion, even though they've got some guys that can play a little bit. They don't have just that number 1 guy, in my opinion. So I look at them as being a team that could be a contender to win the whole thing. But in the end, I think that they will fall back just a shade, and they are my number 5 team.
The top 4 teams, in my opinion, are a little bit above the rest as far as the teams that I think can actually win the Super Bowl. I really feel like Seattle is built to play well. They give up very little on defense, and they run the ball very well, so they've got a recipe for success with a good quarterback who'll take care of the ball. But these top 4 teams, to me, are just a cut above. It may be splitting hairs in the NFL to say that, because as you've seen in the last several years, it's been a lot of teams coming out of nowhere, getting hot at the end of the season like you hate. But this year at number 4 and from 4 to 1, I see teams that I think are just a cut above right now. At number 4, I've got the Atlanta Falcons, mostly because of the top 3, or of the top 4, 3 of them are NFC teams. The NFC this year is just absolutely loaded in my estimation. Atlanta, we've talked about the addition of Steven Jackson and how he's going to fit in with Julio Jones and Roddy White and Matt Ryan and Tony Gonzalez. They're offensively just loaded. Got some question marks on defense, but they should be able to put up points on anybody. If it weren't for the defensive shortcomings that I expect the Atlanta Falcons to have, I might have them number 1 or 2 in this poll, but I've got them at number 4.
And you're right, Mike. We're talking about some really good football teams here. We're really splitting hairs here. My number 4 team, they were solid last year, great regular season. My question is, they've got some issues in the secondary, and they've got some issues up front now with some recent developments, and I've got the Denver Broncos. And I like the addition of Wes Welker, but to me, they didn't go home last year because of Wes Welker or anything like that. They went home because they're not built to handle physical teams. You saw when Demaryius Thomas and Eric Decker got roughed up, that threw off Peyton Manning's timing, and that really affected them. I like the Broncos, but now this Von Miller situation, Dan Copeland the center, Sean Phillips will help that pass rush a little bit, but they lost Elvis Dumervil. I like the Broncos, though. I got them at number 4, Brad.
Got the Texans at number 4, and I like the talent that they have. I think they take the next step up. Obviously, I don't have the Patriots in there as a top 10 team. So somebody in the NFC has got to step up. I believe that's the Texans. I have them as my second best team in the AFC. I expect them to play for the conference championship somewhere other than their home. So I've got them at number 4.
Number 3, I've got the Green Bay Packers. Too many question marks on defense for my liking to put them any higher. Aaron Rodgers he's awesome. I would say he's a bad man, but that's taken by somebody else. He's losing Greg Jennings, but he's got guys like Randall Cobb, who you said was probably going to break into your top 10 wide receivers list in the next couple of years. He's been very, very good. Jordy Nelson, very good. Jones, and Jermichael Finley. Just be quiet about him because I want to keep him on the DL for a little while.
Well, that's out now.
It's out there. But I like the Green Bay Packers offense. If the defense can play well, I feel like they've got a chance to make some noise. Green Bay and Atlanta, to me, are almost exchangeable there. It's the defensive issues that I think are going to be the determining factor between those two. Eddie Lacy playing running back for Green Bay. I like him. So I think they're going to have a little better running game this year. I've got Green Bay at number 3.
Yeah, I like Green Bay. Jonathan Franklin and Lacy. That's going to be dynamic. My number 3 team, Brad, you're the one who mentioned them earlier. The Seattle Seahawks, if they had a little bit more dynamic as far as their weapons on the outside, I may have them even higher. I love the Seahawks. Defensively, they're solid. They stop the run. They have a great pass rush. Remember when they drafted Bruce Irvin in last year's draft? People were like, who? He's shown himself to be a very good pass rusher. And I say this without any jokes or anything involved. I think they have the best secondary I've seen in 10 years. Cam Chancellor, Richard Sherman, Earl Thomas. I mean, these guys they're huge, and they are talented in the secondary. Russell Wilson, he's a great leader. He's got that old soul type vibe about him. I just like the overall collective ability of the Seattle Seahawks.
I just hope that the Seahawks guys are eligible to play because of the performance-enhancing drugs.
We'll get behind that. We'll get that behind us.
Brad, what do you got?
Well, number 1, I don't even have the Green Bay Packers in my top 10 for the defensive issues that you talked about, even though Aaron Rodgers is, as Stephen A. Smith says, a bad man. There's no doubt. My number 3 team is the Jacksonville Jaguars. No, it's not.
Okay.
Brad.
My number 3 team is the Falcons. The Falcons, to me, are one of the best in the NFC. I think that they will prove it again this year. You almost have to root for them to get Tony Gonzalez a ring, a guy that deserves to have a ring, and this is his last go-around. Matty Ice signed the big deal. Let's see how he holds up to the pressure. But there was a quarterback that signed the big deal before last year's season, and he ended up winning the Super Bowl, and that's Joe Flacco. These guys were drafted in the same draft class. I like Matty Ice, and I like the Falcons to push for the Super Bowl this year. We'll see if they can actually get it done. But I have them as my number 3 team.
At number 2, I've got the Denver Broncos. We've talked at length about them so far. The injuries and the fact that Champ Bailey is old and got exposed at the end of last year, 35-year-old cornerback, is the only reason that I don't really have them at number 1, because as far as the AFC goes, they don't really have a whole lot of challenge as far as winning the AFC. As far just looking down this list, the New England Patriots are on my list, the Houston Texans, the Indianapolis Colts, the Baltimore Ravens. I don't think that any of them, save maybe Houston, could give them a run in the AFC. So I look for Denver to basically, because these other 2 teams in the NFC will have to beat each other out to stay at number 2 on my list. Peyton Manning, until further notice, is the best player that I've ever seen play, and I just just enjoyed watching him. Getting Wes Welker, he's going to have even more weapons on offense. Monte Ball, running back, they're going to enjoy having him. I wonder about the defensive issues because there's no more, Von Miller's out for a little while, and who else did they lose? I'm just going blank. Elvis Dumerville, and the fact that they've got some age on the defensive in the defensive backfield. That's the only question marks that I have about Denver. That's why I have them at number 2.
Yeah, my number 2 team, their quarterback is a guy who I went out on a limb, and a lot of people consider Andrew Luck to be the greatest quarterback prospect since Peyton Manning. I went out on a limb for a guy that people liked, but they didn't like that much. And when this guy was in college, I said he's the greatest prospect I've seen, and that's Matt Ryan. And so I know it sounds like I'm a little bit hard on him. It's just because I have all-time great expectations for him. I think this upcoming year, after the new contract, he takes that step. He's got Steven Jackson in the backfield now. The offensive line should be pretty solid. They've got to get better on the defensive front. Remember, this team had a lead against the Seattle Seahawks, nearly blew it. Then they blew the lead in the NFC Championship game against the 49ers. I look for Atlanta to possibly take that next step as my number 2 team, Brad.
My number 2 team is the San Francisco 49ers. I think that they are interchangeable with my number 1 team. I like them to go to the Super Bowl. I think they're the best team in the NFC. Obviously, I've already stated I love the Harbaughs as coaches. I love Jim Harbaugh a little bit more than John, even though he beat him last year. So I look for Colin Kaepernick to be able to step into that role as quarterback, as a full-time starter this year, take the 49ers back to that Super Bowl level, and I think that they will be a contender with the Falcons, along with the Seahawks. I like them as well. I like the 49ers as my number 2 team in the NFL.
Well, I think Weldon and I are about to one-up you in that because I've got the San Francisco 49ers at number 1 on my list because of all the things that we've talked about. These teams have led to this. San Francisco's got the complete package, and Weldon, I know you've made a point before, I hope you'll make it again, about how having the complete package scares you. They've got the offensive weapons, they've got the defensive weapons. Now they're going to have to deal with Michael Crabtree being out for a little while, but they may plug Vernon Davis into that wide receiver slot there, and just the fact that they can do that is just unbelievable. They've got Anquan Bolden now. They've got Frank Gore toward the end of his prime. But Colin Kaepernick, will teams figure out that zone read type action? Will the San Francisco 49ers be able to have as much success offensively? Because we expect them to have a whole lot of success defensively. I've got the San Francisco 49ers going in as my favorite.
I mean, this is just it's video. This is an embarrassment of riches. The San Francisco 49ers, to me, it's not even close top to bottom. The most talented team. Doesn't mean they're the best, although I have them at number 1. Hands down the most talented team in the league. They've got the best head coach in the NFL as far as I'm concerned. I don't care if he's only been a head coach in the league a couple of years. And Mark, last week I harped on Colin Kaepernick not throwing frozen turkeys on every pass, understanding how to throw touch and different passes for different types of routes. Read an article today that was written about that exact issue and how he's improved on it. Road greater offensive line. I mean, this offensive line they have is freakish as far as how they move people off the ball. And Mark, to your point that I made last week, all of the 49ers to me are almost too perfect to where I know something bad is going to happen and they're going to end up not winning the Super Bowl. That's probably why I'm not going to pick them. But just talent in this roster, Brad, I love me some 49ers. Greg Roman, offensive coordinator, that's my dog.
I was actually for Greg Roman to be a guy at Arkansas. Of course, I like Arkansas's choice so far with Brett Bielema, but I know his name was bandied about a little bit. Greg Roman is a guy that should get some looks as either a big-time D1 head coach or even an NFL head coach at some point, and I'm with you on the Harbaughs. I love those guys. I think they're some of the best, maybe, and they may end up being some of the best ever, and Jim Harbaugh is really an unbelievable coach right now. Yes, he has little experience, but still an incredible coach. But I have the Broncos as my number 1 team. And this basically, last year Peyton Manning led this team to 13 wins. They added Wes Welker. And Peyton Manning, to me, last year did not look healthy, even though he was able to put up the season he was able to do. And that was because Peyton Manning is the smartest football player to ever play the game, in my opinion. And I really expect him to be a little more healthy this year. I expect them to be hungry after watching the Baltimore Ravens lift up the Lombardi Trophy and thinking that probably should have been us last year. I look for them to be a team that is on a mission. I look for them to push for 14 wins this year. I look for them to hold the home field in the AFC, and I look for them to be in the Super Bowl and get Peyton Manning one more to submit that Hall of Fame legacy that he has.
I like it. Brad, appreciate you calling today and look forward to some fantasy football coming up in the next couple of weeks. We'll start looking at
I gotta get
fantasy
with you
football
Wednesday,
drafts.
man.
Okay.
We'll talk about that later.
Sounds good. All right.
All right.
Take it easy, Brad.
Bye.
That's Brad Caldwell on to help us with our top 10 NFL teams. We hope you enjoyed that today. Before we get out of here, Jermaine Illuminor, a talented offensive lineman, has committed to play for the Razorbacks. Brett Bielema tweets that it's nice to beat the universities. I thought that was a nice little shot there at the Ohio State University. Arkansas wins a recruiting battle, one of many that they've got going on right now. Jermaine Illuminor now on Twitter is recruiting for Arkansas. He's looking at some of these players saying, hey, you want to come have the road paved for you by this guy? Come on over and I'll get you some yards. So I'm looking forward to the recruiting class that's coming up in 2014-2015 for the University of Arkansas. That's all the time we've got for today. Matter of fact, we went a little over. We'll be back at 11 o'clock on Wednesday for Weldon Braxton and Maddie Lassiter. I'm Mark Freeman. We'll see you at 11 o'clock on Wednesday at rivervalleyleader.com.